Hello everyone, my name is Kenneth G. Pieroway, author of Streetcars of St. This is my fourth YouTube reading for Flanker Press about my book, and today I'm going to talk to you about the legacy of the streetcar system as well as the acknowledgements of the many wonderful people that helped me. Epilogue. 70 plus years ago, the last little red Bernie car was taken out of service and stored in a car barn on Water Street next to the railway station to await disposal. The local press waxed nostalgically about the end of the cars, with both the Evening Telegram and the Daily News offering editorials and lamenting the loss of the service. Within a month of the shutdown, all 8 Bernie car bodies had been bought by Jeffrey Sterling and resold through Doug Oliphant's garage for private use, including roadside stands and cottages. In 1949, City Council removed the cobblestones and track on Water Street, as well as the wiring and rails in the rest of the route at NLP's expense, effectively wiping out any trace of the once thriving system. Railway enthusiasts such as Robert Sandusky and John Knowles, who came to Newfoundland in 1956 to record the end of the steam locomotives, also managed to locate and photograph in color some of the now privately owned car bodies. Much has happened in that time span. Not only did Newfoundland and Labrador become Canada's 10th province, but other vital means of transport, such as the railway and the coastal boat system, were shut down. On the upside, the completion of the Trans-Canada Highway and other roads, along with improvements to the provincial airports, has forever changed the face of transport, making the island more accessible than ever. With the discovery of huge oil and gas fields, St. John's has grown and prospered exponentially and is now even home to several major sports franchises. Yet for all of this, and with a considerable passage of time, the St. John Street Railway has left both a legacy and some landmarks. Perhaps the greatest legacy of the streetcar system today is none other than Metrobus, St. John's modern public transit system. Metrobus follows in the footsteps of Golden Arrow Coaches Limited, which started serving parts of the city not serviced by streetcars from 1940 to 1949. Capital Coach Lines from 1950 to 1958, and then the St. John's Transportation System Limited from 1958 onward. Marketed as Metrobus Transit, it has a fleet of 53 buses that operate on 22 routes in St. John's, Mount Pearl, and Paradise, and in 2016 carried 2.9 million passengers. As a tribute to the streetcar system, it operates the trolley line. Using one of the Nova LFS buses painted and decorated as a streetcar during the busy tourist season, for just $5 a day, it stops at some of the most popular attractions in the city. There's also an infrastructure legacy from the streetcar years, with the biggest being the still operational Petty Harbour hydroelectric generating station. Built in 1900 by the St. John Street Railway Company to provide electricity for the streetcars, and with it being the first plant of its type in Newfoundland, it has been registered as a designated historic site by the province. Today, the generating plant annually produces approximately 18 gigawatt hours of electricity, 4% of the electricity generated by Newfoundland Power. With the upgrading of the plant in 1927, a new substation to distribute the power was also constructed on the south side near the dockyard. It too still stands with NLP Company 1927 engraved on its end. Up until the service ended in 1948, there was a turnout on Military Road across from Government House. With the removal of the tracks and the subsequent repaving, the curb retained its original indentation and to this day is used as a Metrobus stop. On Water Street West, instead of removing the rails, they were simply paved over. With the freezing and thawing cycles, their outline could be seen, and some even broke the surface up to many layers of pavement. With major road infrastructure projects in the area, the rails were often uncovered and removed, but essentially they still lie under the street in many places. From a creative standpoint, the streetcars live on in images recreated by some of Newfoundland and Labrador's finest artists. Once Upon a Time by Rod Hand showcases a 1900s Water Street in winter with a La Riviere car approaching, while Ed Roach's Queens Road, 1926, highlights a new Bernie at night. Larry Mahoney has expertly recreated the Bernie streetcar with advertisements about to enter one of St. John's well-known areas with his Rawlins Cross. Former broadcaster and politician Don Jameson's 1979 album, Don Jameson Remembers, featured a cover of a La Riviere streetcar and was re-released as a CD with the same cover in 2017 as a fundraiser for the Jameson Family Foundation. William Robertson of Illinois not only photographed the system in 1947, but also built a model of a Bernie that to this day is on display in the lobby of the Rawlins Cross building on Water Street. Popular postcards of St. John's from the past have featured them, and modern-day chip vans are designed and painted just like them. In recent years, authors such as Mont Lingard and Ron Ritchie have included entire chapters and images dedicated to the St. John's streetcars in their books on the former Newfoundland Railway. Even today, one can still stand at the exact locations of the former ends of the line and look out over the vastly expanded but still strikingly beautiful city. My wish is that this publication will help a whole new generation discover the amazing legacy of the Streetcars of St. John's, while at the same time rekindle the memory of those who saw and rode them so many years ago. Acknowledgements. For the third time, I have been and continue to be blessed by the many people who have helped me on my continuing journey of discovery, and with it the completion of this project and another of Newfoundland's glorious past means of transport. To all of those, I will always be grateful. To the local archivists and historians of the City of St. John's Archives, the Munn Digital Archives, the Provincial Resource Library, the Rooms, and the Royal Newfoundland Regiment Museum, without you, this book could never be. Your tireless research, patience, and assistance over the past 5 years have been nothing short of exemplary. In particular, I want to acknowledge the late Larry Dowie, Colleen Field, Frank Gogos, John Griffin, Michelle Keeping, Deb Maynard, Bert Riggs, Rita Roberts, Melanie Tucker, Linda White, and Alana Wicks. To the National Archivists, technicians, and historians of the Canadian War Museum, Expo Rail, and Library and Archives Canada, my gratitude is extended to Marlene Belanger, Marie-Anne de Rocher, Jessie Mooman, Susan Ross, and Jose Ballerman. To the North American rail photographers and enthusiasts who gave me both images and inspiration from first contact and up until final draft, you are collectively the finest group of gentlemen I have ever encountered. My thanks to Leslie Call, Peter Hoxford, David Henderson, Bill Lindley, Peter Murphy, Ronald J. Ritchie, Robert J. Sandusky, Mike Schufelt, and Rich Taylor. To Peter Collins and Leanne Surratt of Newfoundland Power, you were instrumental in locating NLP archival images that helped illustrate the history of the streetcar story. To the talented Newfoundland artists who so beautifully captured scenes of our bygone days and generously allowed me to recreate them, I thank Rod Hand, Larry Mahoney, and Ed Roach. To Pat Kennedy, ever the consummate gentleman, I thank you for writing such an amazing foreword and for your support throughout this project. Your grandfather will be very proud. To Graham Blair, thank you for designing such a beautiful and eye-catching cover. It in itself is truly a work of art. I am very grateful to the late William Connors, whose 1989 publication gave me an excellent basis upon which I could build. His book was the first that so richly illustrated our former streetcar system. A special note of thanks must go to Jim Darcy, Peter Hoxford, Sally Kelly, and Len Whitten for graciously sharing your memories of the Bernie streetcars in such an articulate manner. You made my job that much easier. For all those who allowed me access to not only public buildings and rooftops, but also your private homes to get that perfect retake, I would like to acknowledge Gail Kern, Renee Ducey, Howard Hickman, Sean Holloway, Josh Lewis, Steve Pond, and Beatrice Rodriguez Rubio. To Ray Lawler and Judy Powell of Metrobus, and the many drivers such as Jim Preston, whom I've encountered in my photo shoots, thank you for giving me access to your depot and your vehicles. A special thank you is extended to driver Ken Hart for not only his guided depot tour, but also arranging to have special shots of the fleet with his usual enthusiasm. You are all a credit to your organization. To Donna Francis, who several years ago saw the potential in me to become a published author and gave me that first needed big break. Without you, the work that followed, including this book, would never be. A very special thank you is extended to the entire staff of Flanker Press when I was suddenly and unexpectedly without a publishing house near the completion of my streetcar book. Gary Cranford stepped up to the proverbial plate and took me in. Thank you, Gary, for believing in me and my project, and to the rest of Flanker, Jerry, Margot, Bob, Ashley, Ed, Peter, Gerard, and Nick, my heartfelt gratitude and appreciation. It has truly been an honor and a pleasure working with you. Others who have helped in ways that are both big and small include Steve Austin, John Brown, Georgette Claremont, Paul Dinham, Frank Galgay, Gary Gallagher, Calvin Manning, Eugene Manning, Rhonda Manning, Dennis O'Keefe, Linda McGrath, Ryan Scott, Gary and Cindy Stalls, and Kathy Walsh. To the good people of St. John's, with your tolerance and your assistance in so many ways during my 4 years of photo retakes, you gave me even more reason to fall in love with your beautiful city. Without the continued love, support, encouragement, and understanding of my wonderful wife of 30 years, I would not have been able to complete this worthwhile project. As with my previous books, Michelle, you've been by my side throughout so many days of getting the perfect retake, and I was so grateful for both your presence and your companionship. Together, we've learned so much, not only about this amazing city, but also in the process about ourselves. I am so glad to still have you in my life after all these years. To my youngest son, Thomas, during this time I watched you leave home, obtain your education, and grow into the fine man you are today. You are truly an inspiration, and I have never been prouder. To my extended family of the Gregorys and the Kellys, and to my many wonderful friends, I thank you all for your ongoing support over the years. Once more, my final word is to William, who is looking down from above and still grinning at his dad. Thank you for guiding and protecting the three of us. You are never far from my heart or my thoughts. Thank you all very much. I hope you enjoyed my readings from my book, Streetcars of St. John's. This Then and Now book is available at Flanker Press, also at various bookstores. But if you want a copy right now, especially in light of this COVID-19 that we're all going through, contact flankerpress.com and they'll see to it. It's available in both hardcover and softcover editions. Take care, God bless, be safe, and above all, be kind.